Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome you to Jasper County public hearing on the 2018 SPLOST project proposal. So, at this time, can we all stand, pledge allegiance to the flag, and remain standing for a moment silent prayer. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our head, please. Father God, we want to thank you for this opportunity to come before this board and to the city to be able to propose to the general public our desire for a project for the 2018 SPLOST. Father, we ask that you go with us, guide us, and help us to make the right decision and listen to the public views and do what we think is best for the citizens of Jasper County and the city of Monticello and Shadydale. Father, we just thank you for this opportunity. Go with us, guide us, forgive us all the sins that we've done today and all the days of our lives. This we ask in your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, let's just see. We're going to start, and I need to start by saying is the two cities and the Monticello and the county has all agreed on the split, and it will be Jasper County with, tell me I'm wrong, with the same split as we had last year.
Yes.
The city will receive, and we're posing a $5 million SPLOST for 6 years. The city of Monticello will get $950,000. The city of Shadydale will get $150,000, and the remaining $3.9 million will go to Jasper County. And we decided that we will split that by percentages as the money comes in on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Same method we're doing now.
Yes. Now, the county is proposing to use its SPLOST money as a debt service. Okay? We're looking to borrow money to fund our projects. And I want each of the commissioners to chime in if I say something or don't say it correctly. And we have reviewed a list of projects and purchases that throughout the county for the department. And I'm going to read those, and then of course we're still in the process of fine-tuning some of those, so it's not all completely settled. I just want to read those. We're proposing for road and bridges for LMIG match of $1,190,132. Road and bridges for commercial paving, proposing $2,250,000, and that total of $3,440,132. Public Works, we're proposing to buy one tandem truck, and this is an estimate cost of $235,000. Sheriff and Jail Department, we're proposing $2,250,000. Fire Rescue, to purchase one fire tanker at $200,000. Fire Rescue for 2 sets of Jaws of Life at $60,000. Fire Rescue, this is on bathrooms and office area for stations 6 and 7 at $30,000. That total is $290,000 for Fire Rescue. Recreation for a gymnasium complex of $2 million. Again, all of this is estimates. And 911 Authority to install 3 towers repeaters at $65,000 total. And that total, that project that we've worked on is $8,280,132. Okay? That's the county portion of it. The city of Monticello is proposing water and sewer project of $500,000. road and sidewalk improvement and parking at $350,000, and a new utility building project of $100,000. Their total is $950,000. The city of Shadydale is proposing a water supply improvement and road resurfacing of $150,000. So those three entities totaling $5 million. So, at this time, I'll open the floor up to the public for any discussion or any concerns, and then if it's a city-related project, then the city will answer those questions. If it's a county-related problem, then we'll try to address it here from the public. Is there any comment from the general public? Charles Forsyth. Yeah, state your name and.
Charles Forsyth. I live at 538 Eatonton Street, city of Monticello. I pay taxes to Jasper County and the city, and I'm confused by looking at what you have here. I gather you're going to have $3,900,000, and you got a requirement from the county of $8,280,000. And these are supposedly SPLOST things, so I assume something of that list is going to have to fall off, because when the public votes, you're going to have to give those numbers in your material supporting the SPLOST and asking for the citizens to vote for it. So that leaves a big hole, which I hope you were able to sell to the public. And I assume part of this is involved in, but I don't know, the $7.5 million. And an indication that I've heard in prior meetings was that that was going to require a special vote. And I'm asking, are we going to end up voting for $3,900,000 for the county plus $7,500,000? Basically, this is confusing, and I think it's going to be confusing to the public, other than those that just nod and just come out and vote. You also are running it at a off election, which I don't know whether that's going to help you or hurt you, depending upon what the public does. But one item that bothers me, and I've discussed this with the chairman, I'll bring it up again, is this gymnasium complex. As a citizen and taxpayer of the county, I am very upset that I've already paid for 2 gyms. And now Recreation is going to want another gym. Those 2 gyms are not fully utilized. And I don't think that the Recreation Department needs a gym. Going back to 2005, there was money in the SPLOST for a metal building for a basketball court in there. I think it was $300,000. That seems to have disappeared in everyone's thoughts. But the 2 gyms I refer to are I funded, and the people in this county funded through the school board. And the school board only uses them a certain portion of the year and a certain portion of the day. And I really feel that there should be some agreement that takes the citizen, and whether we really have a need here or this is a wish. There should be able to work out some kind of agreement with the school board to use one or both of those gyms at the county expense to pay the utilities in this during the night when they're done, or in the summertime when they're not being used. But that certainly is going to be cheaper than $2 million. at a time when commissioners are betting on the come to fund this $7.5 million. At least at the prior meetings, they kept talking about, oh, it's not 5 million and 7.5 million. We're gonna use the splash money coming in to pay off the loan. And that bothers me, since we're planning to, if what the commissioners have been telling us, that in 2018, I don't know how many times this has been, that we'll be getting money out of Stanton Springs. And it worries me that we're doing this on the come. And I'm feared that based on what I've seen of operations of Stanton Springs, that money may never get to us. At least it hasn't as of yet. And I thought last year we were supposed to get 20,000 or something, the first payment. And the money was paid to, for the time prior to that, to one particular county's tax assessor who disregarded the law. And now we're supposed to be getting that paid back in dribbles and drabs. The other thing is, Stanton Springs is still waiting FDA approval, which may or may not come in 2018 sometime. Knowing the government, the way things slip, it's probably going to be 2020 or 2024 by the time this county sees any money. Yet we are going out and spending it on the come that we don't have, and I really think that is not proper fiduciary responsibility of a county to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles?
Does the board want to reply to Charles or wait till after the reply to you all?
Let's say just reply to all.
All right, anyone else? Mary?
Let me get out of here without knocking this over. I'll do all right. Mary Patrick, Monticello. Some of these things I have on here similar to what Mr. Forsyth said, but I'm going to read them because that's how I feel. I want to talk too about the $7.5 million bond, but also want to discuss the sheriff's building, which I have had people come in and say, oh, it's, you know, in addition to the jail, it's a renovation of the jail. But from the plans that I have seen, that is not what it is. The plans show $3 million for a 2,347 square foot renovation of the current office space, plus another 8,630 square foot addition of office space, a conference room, fitness room, a training room, a squad room, CID rooms, and it appears that none of these rooms can be used for different things. The squad room, the training room, and the conference room are all very similar, all have table and chairs in them, but they can't all be used for, you know, different things during different parts of the day or week or whatever. So I really wonder if 8,630 square foot addition is really necessary. You've also talked about a new rec building at a cost of $2.5 million. I noticed the handout tonight all of a sudden now says $2.0 million on it. For months we've been told 2.5, but no plans have ever been presented or seen by the public for this building. I do know that Piedmont Academy built a new gym a few years ago and furnished it, from what I've been told, around $900,000. Of course, these are private funds. They had to be raised and they had to be used wisely. So what kind of building are we talking about for $2.5 million? Mr. Henry and I had a conversation after the last meeting and about the gym, and he said, well, we have to do something for the kids. But all the taxpayers in this county have been doing something for the kids. 60% of our taxes go to the kids, and that includes building new gyms, and we just built a new $1 million multi-purpose building, which is really a weight room. We send 60% of our tax money to the schools. So why can't these gyms be used by the public for recreation? We've already paid for the facility, so why are we building more? Why does the school board decide that we, including the same kids that attend the schools, can't use the school facilities for recreation? Now we're talking about the $7.5 million bond. I noticed tonight on thing it has 15 years. Over the past 3 months, you've talked about 25 years. So I went in and looked at an amortization schedule over 25 years. At just barely 1.5%, the interest would be $1.5 million. At 2.5%, the interest would be $2.6 million, and at 3%, it would be $3.2 million. So, how much will it be at 4%? I don't know. That's not shown on your schedule there, how much that's going to be. Right now, you're planning on paying back debt, and I want to say, how many roads will that interest pay? Right now, you're planning on paying the debt back with promised money from Stanton Springs or JDA. Shire hasn't even gotten their FDA approval yet. They still have GFA bonds and a bank note to pay before the counties get any money. This is like me going to the bank to buy a new house and tell them, I will be getting a job in a few months, so go ahead and loan me the money. Would they do it? No. But the bank or USDA or whoever will loan the money to you will do it, because all you have to do is tax the people for the money if JDA does not send it to us. I don't think this is wise planning. I think the SPLOST should stand on its own and pay for roads and not some debt scheme that you've talked about now for 3 or 4 months. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, board members, and see if you want to chime in and do that. First of all, let me just go back and say to Charles is that, and clarify that it will not be the 3.9 on top of 7.5, not those two added together. As I stated earlier, the county is proposing to use the 3.9 to retire a debt that we anticipate borrowing to fund these projects. So it's not 7.5 plus 3.9. The project will be paid out of the 7.5 or the amount of money that we come to. So that's what that is. You mentioned that there was $300,000 in the 2005 SPLOST. There is $300,000 left in the 2012 SPLOST. Okay, so
That was earmarked for the,
for
the rental building for the gym.
and that money is already set aside, and it's still going to be used as a portion for to help out the recreation department.
Well, no, that isn't what I asked. Is it gonna be part of this 2 million? Or is it gonna be used for other things?
It will be used for recreation as it was voted on for.
The vote was for a building, not recreational
It will be
buildings.
used for recreation
Not
to
recreational other items.
build. Okay? And Mary, we had said, and I guess it's the consensus of the board, that we was going to look at borrowing money through USDA or local financial institute instead of bond, because bonds will cost us for $7.5 million. We estimated about $300,000 to $400,000 in getting bond done. So, and for the rec building, we had, and I don't think you or Charles were here when we made the final decision, we cut that budget from 2.5 to $2 million. So that's why it's reduced to those numbers. Anybody?
If you're going to borrow the money, then does that mean the voters are not going to vote on it?
Right.
If you're gonna what?
If you're going to borrow the $7.5 million, then is that to keep the voters from voting on it?
No, it's not to keep the voters from voting on it. It's still gonna be voted on. It's gonna have to be voted on in order to get the 3.9 to retire that money that we're borrowing.
No, that isn't.
So I'm asking a question. Are we going to have 2 votes? One on SPLOST and one on the bond? Or one on the $7.5 million?
That's legal, what we
No,
look
it's
at.
usually
Contingent.
on one referendum.
Is the $7.5 million going to be in the referendum, or is just the SPLOST?
No, they're together on one referendum. You're not allowed to vote a SPLOST up or down and to separately vote borrowing up or down, unless you do completely independent bond issue that's not related to SPLOST projects. But that's obviously not what we're doing.
The SPLOST, without the SPLOST, there would be no 7.5 million. Because the SPLOST is to retire that, kind of a debt service for that, so it's not in addition to.
Yeah, and other than the two cities, what we've got currently showing is the 8.2, almost 8.3 million. That is still in the works to have some additional cuts made to it. And 7.5 million hasn't been a finalized number yet. So this is still something that we're working on.
Well, and the sheriff has already said that he's willing to redraw his plans and take out some of the stuff that was in those plans. That was just a drawing that they come up with, and he's said he can do without some of that stuff that's in the plan. So, you know, that's not final. It'd be utilized, some of those rooms would be used for two different things because they wouldn't need them at the same time during the day.
That 3.1 was his original proposal, and it's 2.25 now. And so some of that was taken out. Also, some of those are just estimates for the gymnasium. I agree that it probably could be done less for two, and that's why we're waiting on other estimates and looking at different things. So I believe it can be done less, personally, less than two on that one. So that would be that. And I actually realize that we do have other gyms in the county. I've coached at some of them when we used to be there. Coached some of the kids, of some of the parents in here over the years as well at those. And hopefully we could come together and work on some joint assistance on those. But I know sometimes the events overlap and some of the scheduling. So without looking at that, that's going to be kind of tough. But I agree there are some places that could be utilized because we've got two public gyms, so to speak, from the school, and I know there's two private gyms in the county as well. But utilization and trying to do those the best way we can, we need to. So.
Okay, but let me just backtrack for a minute, excuse me, because I forgot to acknowledge who's here in order to go on the record. We have our county attorney, David Osmond, Commissioner Craig Southern from District 4, I'm Carl Benham from District 1, Bruce Henry from District 2, Don Jernigan from District 3, Mike Benton, County Manager, Sharon Robinson, our HR Director. We have also with us the Mayor, Brian Standifer, Mayor Pro Tem, Stone Workman, Councilman David Weiss, Councilwoman Jenny Murphy, County Councilwoman, I forget your name, Cynthia Miller, and again, sorry for that. And we have Doug Lucas absent. So for the record, you need to be shown, okay?
Commissioner Coon, since y'all have discussed this and things are just a little bit different than, you know, what's been discussed for so long, like the rec building being cut back, maybe the sheriff's department cutting back his building, are there going to be any plans during these public hearings so that we can see that? I mean, we hear you talking, but, you know, we've been hearing this talk, and now all of a sudden it's a little bit different, and then after the public hearing, is it going to be different again before we vote, or?
Well, the key to it is, Mary, is that we have to work and get plans and architectural plans to fit within these numbers that we have here.
Right.
And that's what we're working toward now. These numbers, when you start talking about getting plans and getting it out to bid, these numbers could easily change because you don't know from day to day what that cost is. But we have to work within the numbers that we have. So if we go out and see architectural plans, then we're gonna have to reject it if it doesn't fall within our price range. So we have to make those changes. And that's one of the reasons why we're proposing to quote, utilize Financial Institute to borrow the money within we said 7.5, but we cut back from the original request of over $10 million down to the 8.2. So that's where we are. Please, somebody help me out here because I don't want to just, because I know Mary, and I'm just saying public because she'll say, well, Commissioner Chairman Carl Penman said. So, board, chime, come on in. And Mary, you and I, we got that relationship. I can tell it like it is, like it or not.
I agree. Well, that's why I asked the question. I mean, I haven't been able to attend all those meetings because there's been a lot of them.
But we worked on.
I'm just concerned that we've been looking at this, and now we're looking at this, but we really don't know what the new this is.
Right now, this is this. Mm-hmm. This is what we're working on until, and if the board decides that we want to cut from that $8.2 million or that $7.5 million is what we're looking at tomorrow.
Main thing is the SPLOST for 2018 SPLOST would still be the same number.
Right.
At the end of the day, the $5 million over 6 years.
And all of the departments that's brought stuff before us, they've asked for a larger amount of money, and we have worked with them and have gotten them to cut stuff out of their projects to get the cost lower. We're not asking for stuff that's not needed within the county. Everything that we're asking for is needed.
Charles?
When I'm still, as I mentioned when I went up there, I have a degree of confusion in how this is going to work. SPLOST is supposed to have a list of projects that the money will be spent on. And for the SPLOST. And what I'm trying to figure out is, okay, you're gonna, and as the lawyer said, that it, both are gonna be voted on at the same time. So what are we voting on?
Right, that's what I want to know. What are we voting on?
In other words, are we voting on 7 million and we don't need SPLOST?
We're
No, you're voting.
Or,
Okay.
well, let me continue.
Okay.
Or are we voting on this list of things to be funded out of SPLOST, but that money's gonna be used to pay off this other part of this other debt? That is where I'm confused. To me, it sounds like little, I don't know what.
Well, the question is, the plans are that we will vote on a $5 million SPLOST. The county share will be $3.9 million based on the current projection that we have. Our $3.9 million will be utilized to refund or repay debt for these particular projects that I went over earlier.
Okay, so David just said we're gonna vote on the borrowing. Is there gonna be an amount in there that tells us how much you're gonna borrow?
You'd have to.
The referendum will list the,
So if it's like it is now, pretend, we're gonna say, pretend, you're voting on a $5 million SPLOST for 6 years. X goes to the city, X goes to Shadell, X goes to county, and you're voting on a $7.5 million borrowing. That's what it's gonna say.
yeah, it'll all be in one referendum.
But it is gonna say that you're borrowing money.
It has to.
Okay?
And that the 3.9 will go to service that debt.
Okay?
So you really aren't applying the money that you've got at this list of projects to the SPLOST?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. You're saying you're going to use the SPLOST to pay the loan off,
Yes.
or whatever, or bonds, or whatever it has to be. I think there's a lot of confusion. I think the public will be confused. And I hope you can clarify it in the next 2 meetings.
Well, again, the main thing is that the citizen, that we're gonna ask the citizen, the voters, to vote on a $5 million SPLOST. It will list in detail what that $3.9 million will be for the county, the city of Monticello, and the city of Shadydale. Also on the referendum, that it will be that the county will be seeking to borrow an X number of dollars. And the funds from that SPLOST will repay that debt.
Now, I'm
But
just,
will it really repay it, or are you still planning on Stanton Springs money?
Stanton Springs and other sources.
but that SPLOST will go towards that and any others that come in. Now, I'm just curious, you mentioned citizens would be confused. Well, we've got a handful of citizens here, and if they'll show their hands, does anybody else not understand what we're saying? If not, please raise your hand.
Oh,
If
we're
you-
talking about all elected officials except 2 people, right? Okay, never mind.
David's on election.
I'm just curious, because they're gonna be voting on it too, so, and they're not in the county, so they're hearing this some for the first time, so, yes, Ken.
I think what y'all need to do is make it clear, and I'm not sure whether y'all are using Stanton Springs money or another SPLOST, that obviously the 3.9 million is not gonna pay the whole 7.5 million debt, and I think that's what they're getting at, and I think, you know, you may come back to people in 5 years and need another
Yeah.
SPLOST to finish paying this debt. But I think that's where the confusion comes in, is we're voting on 3.9 million, but we're borrowing 7.5. So,
It may be, and we may have to put the wording in there that we will be looking to ask decisions over a 2.
I mean, it still did a 3-term SPLOST. I mean, it's done.
But they say we're not gonna have to do that, because that JDA money's gonna come pouring in here, which
We said we're expecting some
Right.
JD money to help offset some of the costs or some of the debt. We didn't say it was gonna be one that could pay for the rest of the debt, no. Did we ever say that?
No, we didn't.
It would take care of everything. We're hoping that it starts coming in by that time to help to assist.
Well, the only thing I would say, and I'm saying this, that whether you for or you against, please just state the facts as they are, not to go out there and try to escalate the confusion or whatever the case may be. Because I know that we sit here and we have cut some budget. Mary said is that she thought recreational was 2.5, and I know we cut it to 2.2 million.
Yeah,
Sheriff, and we made some significant cut from 10 million down to the 8.2. So please just state the facts. And I think the general public will appreciate the facts instead of just speculation. Anything else?
I thought that's all this was speculation.
Anything else?
I think mine was a technical question. Did you say there'd be 2 questions on the SPLOST ballot?
No.
The first, and you're not allowed to split them and vote yes on one and no on another. There'll just be one yes or no. The first is gonna list everything, all the projects and costs estimated, and then the other will be a separate paragraph that will just detail any general obligation debt that the county decides to issue or seek.
Do you
And
think
there'll be
that-
2 separate paragraphs there, but one referendum.
One vote.
I wanna ask the city something.
Please.
Do you think this is gonna help pass the SPLOST and help the city with the county borrowing money, which is gonna be at least, or close to 2 times what? I mean, because it's, your SPLOST is gonna be tied up in this SPLOST, so how much is yours supposed to be? $950,000? Let's just say, $1 million. So if everybody decides they don't want debt, then it's gonna hurt the city too.
Well, anytime you're talking about debt, but the projects that the commission has are going to help the entire county. They have some pretty solid projects that I've reviewed with them. They're going to help the entire county. The debt service is a big factor. I think we can explain it a little bit better as we put it on a referendum, so people can truly understand it and with full transparency. Is it gonna help us? Is it gonna hurt us? I mean, we've been through SPLOST before, where we had to service some debt service, but this is a pretty large one. I don't know. I mean, the citizens will have to vote on that.
Well, one of the things that we're faced with as a county, we've got all of these projects. The sheriff came before us and he wanted the $3 million off the top.
Right.
Yeah.
That was before even split. So that was only going to be $2 million to be split. And so we had to look at ways in order to be able to get these projects done if they're really needed. And according to all of the department, everybody we talked to that made these recommendations, proposals, that they are needed. We know that we need money for roads and bridges. So we've got to find ways to do it. You cannot pave roads with the amount of money, $60,000 roughly estimate, coming in a month. You can't pave a road. We just got a contract or bid for 2 miles of post road. It's going to cost us nearly $700,000. How long will it take us to generate $700,000 at 60? I mean, we can't do it. So those projects keep going up and up, and we can't just do it. So we're looking at ways, and we had a meeting with DOT Thursday, 2 weeks ago. We told them that we're anticipating putting money in from SPLOST. And they said, that's great. Then they're going to look at what percentage that they can match. Is it going to be if they can give us 70% on top of what ours is right now? You think about it. The other thing we talked to DOT about is trying to delay some of their state projects, such as, paving state highway. It cost, they gave us the estimate of over almost $4 million to pave 13 miles of road. If they would delay one road per year and give the counties that money to go toward county road, we wouldn't have a road problem. So those are the proposals that we have to talk about and stop just trying to piecemeal things to get it done. And as we piecemeal, for instance, Post Road is about 11 miles long. It's going to take us 5 years of LMIG just to be able to finish that road if we do it consecutive. But then those 5 years, the other 200 and plus miles of road is deteriorating. So what do? We've got to put a stopgap to some of the deterioration. If we don't, we're not going to, everything's going to turn back to dirt.
I want to just, maybe I didn't articulate that well. I've seen your list. I agree with your list.
Well, and we, as we discussed during the agreement day, that we've got to support each other project in order to be able to get it done. If our project don't go, your project don't go. If SPLOST don't go, we don't have nothing. So it's for everybody. Anybody else has any comments?
Well, I think, everybody, some of the comments I heard, if I heard it correctly, they're saying that we're anticipating this money to come in from Shire and from this place and that place. Well, we do that every day, all of our lives. When we got up, those of us that are retired, when we were working, we anticipated going in and working every day and then getting a paycheck at the end of the pay period. So we have to live off of anticipations and the belief that people are going to do what they tell us they're going to do. If I didn't believe I was going to get that paycheck and I didn't go to work, I'm not going to get a paycheck.
Any other comment? We declare this public hearing closed, now being 6:40. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out.